Vente más. Corre, 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 corre.
That's just people having a domestic dispute.
Yeah.
These people aren't drug dealers. These people are criminals and terrorists who happen to make money off of drugs. The idea that they're going to straighten up and fly right if you simply permit their behavior, like they're going to submit an IRS form, is ridiculous. 1 year ago, President Trump designated cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Now, we've seen that with Venezuela, but he designated specifically Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Why? Because they control governments, right? They're effectively transnational actors, and they can destabilize entire countries, regions, in some cases, halves of continents, and use fear, right, as a terrorist organization would. We saw this on full display yesterday. So first, let's set the stage. Monroe Doctrine, you know this, the Trump administration was very clear that the national security approach, the Western Hemisphere is ours. And thank God. Picture any other country in the Western Hemisphere and tell me you want them at the tiller of the ship. Right, he wrote, the United States will reassert and reinforce the Monroe Doctrine to restore American preeminence in the Western Hemisphere, to protect our homeland and access to key geographies throughout the region. So this is something that is well known. The left, of course, has complained about it.
Yeah.
And that means that anything President Trump does must be bad. So designating foreign drug cartels as terrorist organizations, they also believe is bad. We saw them do it with Venezuela. Now, Mexico. The president there, Claudia Sheinbaum, has repeatedly rejected, she kind of did, but she doesn't really mean it, our intervention.
Es necesario reafirmar.
It is necessary to reaffirm that in Mexico, the people are in charge and that we are a free, independent, and sovereign country.
Yeah, not the cartels.
Sí.
Cooperation, yes. Subordination and intervention, no. He has insisted on several occasions that the United States military be able to enter Mexico.
En que el ejército de Estados Unidos pueda.
And we have said no very firmly. First, because we defend our sovereignty. And second, because it is not necessary.
Defendemos nuestra soberanía. Y segundo, porque no es necesario.
Yeah, the people are in charge.
Sure.
People are in charge. So, you know,
I've seen.
Why would you care if a few drug cartels get taken out? Well, this weekend it turned into a war zone because of just that.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here live in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Just had the military driving past me, and as I understand it, I should not be around anywhere where the police or the military are, because they are the target right now. I can see the flames underneath that black smoke. Major flames there.
Vente más. Corre, 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 corre.
That's just people having a domestic dispute.
Yeah.
No, don't take it out on the $5 rotisserie chickens.
Yeah.
They didn't do nothing.
It's people having a dispute because the people are in charge of their government.
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let me tell you exactly what happened. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, for future, I'll just say CJNG, their leader, El Mencho, was killed by some Mexican security forces. There wasn't any involvement of the United States outside of shared intel, from what we understand, but also there were numbers that came out that there were some American guardsmen, right?
No, sorry. These are the National Guard of Mexico.
Oh, National Guard of
Mexico.
25
were killed during the
25 Mexican.
the internal dispute.
And there were conflicting reports coming out, so we're still kind of parsing through it, but intel was shared. That's how we helped. Keep in mind, this is the main competitor to Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah.
That's El Chapo, for those of you who don't necessarily follow, if you're not in on the brackets of the drug cartels. And so what is happening is the cartels are now trying to what? Use terrorism. They're trying to retain power over and discourage the government from acting. The people of Mexico are not in charge of their own destiny. It has been for a long time, and you know this, and all of those who are in the know have known this. The drug cartel says jump, and the government says how high. It just depends on which drug cartel has the most power at that point. That's why they have been designated foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, El Mencho's henchmen did not go down, I will give them credit where it's due, without a fight. I always forget how terrible that motion picture was.
Terrible.
So, this isn't just a problem, though, for Mexico. Just like if Canada is communist, it's not just a problem for Canada. If Canada has a porous border, it's not just a problem for Canada, it's a problem for the United States. These cartels are a major threat to the United States. I'm not going to have the libertarian debate about the war on drugs. We live in reality right now, and drug cartels exist, and they do bad things. And if you legalized all drugs tomorrow, they would still exist. They would just do something else. Let me direct you to some facts. Check the references. Here's key fact number one. The CJNG, other cartels, are not just responsible for drugs, though about $100 billion a year. For example, 1 million pills, 77,000 kilograms of drugs were seized by the DEA. But there's also human trafficking, $13 billion a year. Now remember, there were 300,000 children lost under Biden. We don't have the exact numbers to know which ones were directly the result of these cartels. But here's the thing. If you just legalized all drugs, that $13 billion a year in human trafficking would go up. These people aren't drug dealers. These people are criminals and terrorists who happen to make money off of drugs. The idea that they're going to straighten up and fly right if you simply permit their behavior, like they're going to submit an IRS form, is ridiculous. Keep in mind, when you look at, you have a contrast. Former administration, right? Biden, drugs, including fentanyl, skyrocketed. The use, the importation therein, under President Trump, just this second term, fentanyl deaths are down almost 20%. You look at the border, which of course directly involves Mexico. 12 to 20 million completely unvetted illegals. I get it. Some of those are visa overstays. It's hard to get the exact number. Let's round it. Let's give it an even round 15 million. You have gangs taking over entire apartment complexes. Compare that to President Trump. Border crossings down by 95%. Cartel arrests are numbering around 7,000 at this point in time. Key fact number two. There's a reason that these people are considered terrorists. Okay? You saw what they did in Mexico, but they've also been doing this here. So in 2025, Mexican national was charged with terrorism in Texas for providing material to support the CJNG cartel. Grenades, weapons, cash, was arrested in Mexico, extradited to the United States. For some reason, though, even with all of this being said, the left, the same left who says that waving the flag at the Olympics and chanting USA turns them off, you know what else turns them off? Designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. This comes from New York Times, Cato. You guys will have all the references. Brennan Center for Justice wrote, "The dangerous sweep of Trump's plan to designate cartels as terrorist organizations." I'm sure, but you know what I think is more, dangerous? Drug cartels.
Wait, I don't know. I mean, labels are kind of worse.
Labels, man. Cato wrote, "Trump administration shouldn't designate drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations." What? I'm sure they have some bullshit pseudo-libertarian, really a liberal in disguise reason for it, but you know what?
It's because drug cartels are scary.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We don't want to misidentify them.
New York Times wrote, "How labeling cartels terrorists could hurt the U.S. economy." What? I mean, I guess we'd lose $100 billion in drugs per year if that's how you want to. That's how you want to frame it. At what point do we say these people are just anti-American across the board? They hate, they revile the United States of America. The left is not a part of American society. It is no longer, the Democrat Party is no longer a political party. They don't like the flag. They don't like borders. They don't like us being tough on drug cartels. What do we do? Balkanization almost seems okay to me at this point. I think we may be long overdue for a divorce. Wait, if you say, well, why? Aren't we all Americans? Yeah, but you don't like the flag. If I say, America, your stomach turns. If I say, hey, can't we sort of try and clamp down on drug cartels? You go, no, that's not right. That'd be bad for America. And if I say why, you say, what do you, what? How do we find common ground at this point? And of course, these same people bitched about President Trump bombing narco-terrorist drug boats.
The Pentagon's announced the U.S. blew up another boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 4 people, claiming the boat was carrying drugs, but once again offering no proof.
Narco-terrorists.
You probably saw news that last week the Trump administration took this airstrike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela. First of all, we have sort of no information on who was on that boat or who was killed. It might be, as the Trump administration says, members of a drug cartel.
Well, that's some information, isn't it?
Civilians. We don't know. His stated reason for taking the strikes to try to stop the flow of drugs in the United States, it makes no sense as the centerpiece of a counter-narcotics
Guarantee you those drugs didn't make it.
In many ways, it's bringing the logic of Gaza into the Caribbean in terms of unaccountability.
That man's body generates no pigment.
And an expansive
or sexual
notion
aura
of national defense to justify
You saw him and thought about sex.
what is in
Josh?
effect just extrajudicial killing.
It is about separation of powers. For the folks who wave their Constitution around, read the damn thing.
Okay. I
Who waves
have.
the Constitution around?
I have. What are you trying to say that the Constitution says that we can't designate any foreign terrorist organizations to be terrorist organizations? Like, whenever the left says the Constitution, you know they're lying to you. Just to be clear, whenever someone on the left says, actually, I'm a Christian, but you know they're lying to you. And when we're talking about sinking these boats, like terrorists or no terrorists, it's sink or swim time for Mexico. And if you like me, fam, you know I can't swim. So let's go to tourism.
Yeah, nailed it. They love you.
Just got some new votes.
Yeah.
The traders in Canada, our greatest friends. Canada. Yeah, they're our greatest friends. So we designate a group, foreign terrorist organizations. They take over entire cities in Mexico and show exactly what we told you to be true, that they control governments and that is a threat to the United States. So what does Canada do, our greatest friend? They encourage their people to go to Mexico. Tourism from Canadians to Mexico up 12%, down 28% going to the United States because Canadians believe that it's safer than the United States for them to be in Mexico.
Hope you're enjoying it. Your extended stay.
Here's a post from Jay Hunter on X wrote, last week I had a trip booked to the U.S., canceled that and went to Mexico. If you're looking for a vacation, I suggest Mexico. The love for Canadians is real down there. And your kidneys. Better food, better people, better country.
Papa John's.
And they don't.
Papa Juan.
And they don't have an elderly orange rapist felon as a president.
What?
Okay. So the drug cartels in Mexico are better than President Trump, and they're better specifically for Canadians. All right. And the Mexican tourism minister said that Canadians going to Mexico instead said, I think they are choosing more friendly policies. You know what else? This happened when I was growing up. Canada did this with Cuba. You could actually argue that the people of Cuba, because there are consequences, right? Canadians going, we're going to stick it to the United States. I can't believe they beat us at hockey, even though winning doesn't matter, right? It just matters how you live. But we're going to Mexico. They did the same thing with Cuba. The people of Mexico will be under the thumb of the drug cartels as long as Canada does this. That's why countries boycott countries. Just to be clear, that's why countries have embargoes. That's why countries have sanctions. Cuba, Canadians have almost single-handedly kept the Castros and their never-ending lineage in power afloat with their tourism dollars when the United States said we're no longer allowing our people to go to Cuba. Do you think the people... Let me ask you this. Canadians go, we're going to Cuba. I can get some rum there, duty-free. Whatever the hell it is. Why do you think when Cubans get to America, well over 80% of them vote Republican and conservative? Do you think they're happy to see Canadians go there and every dime they spend goes directly to the fascist, autocratic communist regime? What I'm trying to say is just sticking it to America because you have a jealousy complex, it's not annoying. It kills people. It kills people. I know because I was one of them. I had to go to Cuba. I was one of few Americans who went to both Guantanamo Bay to do some shows for the troops as an American. And when I was young, I had to go to Cuba on a Canadian passport for a Rising Crust pizza commercial, which, by the way, pretty sure was a money laundering scheme.
Yeah, I don't see why the Rising Crust is coming out of Cuba.
Yeah, well, they needed it to be set during the summer. They needed to blow their budget. And I remember my mom leaving a tip on a bill And I was a minor. I think I was 16, and I said, "Mom, if you do that, that's not gonna go to her. That's gonna go." And my mom said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, if I put that, does that go to you?" And she just my mom said, "You know what? Never mind. Let me write that. I'll give you cash." She said, "Don't touch the bill. Don't touch the bill. Don't scratch. They'll know." Like she was going to be carried away forever. Canadians support the government of Cuba. Canadians support the government of Mexico in bed with the cartels while they virtue signal, and those people will never enjoy basic freedoms. But you know what? You have the moral high ground, Canada, because you kill 5% of your population with euthanasia. Now, surprise, Canadians are stuck in Mexico.
For all the Edmontonians out there, they were telling us to go over there, but yeah, we all had to run here in Puerto Vallarta.
And by the way, that sucks. If that guy's Canadian, serves you right. Here's what Canadians don't do. Is this right or is this wrong? They can't answer it. It's a godless nation. Ironically, because they still actually have God in their national anthem, which has offended a lot of people. They have no basis to declare what is right and what is wrong. And so their moral compass is, we don't like America. What will bother America? They can't say that objectively tariffs from the United States on Canadian goods is wrong because they do it. They do it. If they had an objective standard of right and wrong, they would say, well, we've done tariffs, and so they're doing, so you know what, that makes us, maybe we should either all do away with tariffs or just sort of accept these terms. Instead, it's, we don't like America, so we should be able to do it and they shouldn't be allowed to. Canada has not met their NATO spending for decades. Canada wouldn't exist as a country if not for the United States. But instead of saying, is it objectively wrong for us to sign a contract and not honor it, do they have a point? They go, well, we don't like America, they can afford it, so screw them, we're gonna buddy up with China. This is why you're seeing a resurgence in Christian nationalism, because people need to be able to govern themselves with an objective standard of truth, of right and wrong. Canada doesn't have that. That's why they're killing their own people in record numbers. That's why they are allowing men to compete in women's sports and championing it. That's why they use stupid terms like two-spirited. It's why they implement tariffs and bitch when it happens to them. It's why they boo the national anthem, complain when they see a meme, and it's why they give their dollars to oppressive governments that jail political dissidents while convincing themselves that they have the moral high ground. I really mean it. I really, really mean it. The United States should militarily intervene in Canada. Because of this, and a bunch of other reasons that we've covered, they're actually a national security threat. They're actually a national security threat because we don't share any common ground or language as to what is right and what is wrong, and we are not friends. Alberta, I really hope you guys leave. And we're not saying you have to be the 51st state. We'll just have a relationship with you. But I think our relationship with Canada needs to be done with. It's over. It is an immoral, godless, conquered people who only take, they don't give. Can anyone tell me this? How has Canada benefited the world? In any significant measure, they'll say they have a peacekeeping force. Whatever, so do we. It's called the United States military. What have they done? They've had more time than the United States in many ways. You guys may not know this. And they certainly had a leg up because they didn't fight royalty. They bowed to them. Why isn't the rest of the world saying, dear, when an earthquake happens, when a tsunami happens, why are they saying, dear God, I hope the Canadians help us? You're selfish pricks, Canada, and you mistreat everyone. We are only as valuable to you as the handouts we give. And I don't think we should be doing that anymore. Hey, if you're still watching this, you may be one of the 6 million or so subscribers on YouTube who is, for one reason or another, I don't understand it, still here. So back in the day, I would say click one of these videos and subscribe, but really just head on over to my channel on Rumble. Follow me there. I'm live 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, and I actually say the things that I mean to say. On YouTube, it's everyone here is kind of neutered, really, and there's just a general lack of testicular energy, but I mean that in the heterosexual way. Mostly.